We are now getting more details about the fertilizer plant explosion in West Texas. Basically, we're learning that the entire situation was deeply, deeply concerning. Now, the latest numbers I have are that 14 people were killed, 60 people are still unaccounted for, dozens of homes, a school, an apartment building were destroyed, and there are, at this point, I think, over 100 injuries, and still we don't even know where 60 people are. And so much of the information we're getting points to something which is not going to make conservatives very happy, which is that total lack of regulation and enforcement of regulation led to some pretty significant issues at this place. Number one, the Texas fertilizer plant had not been inspected by OSHA since 1985, almost 30 years since the last inspection. The plant told the EPA that there was simply no risk of an explosion there in a report that they put forward. Doesn't seem like anybody really looked into that, does it?
Nope.
They were cited for failing to obtain or qualify for a permit back in 2006. So they were actually investigated on June 20th, 2006, after a complaint in early June of a strong ammonia smell. And agency records show that the person who lodged the complaint said the ammonia smell was very bad last night and lingered until he or she went to bed. So there was a citing there because they didn't qualify for a permit back in 2006. Here's some of the more incredible stuff here. The plant held 270 tons of ammonium nitrate. If you have over 400 pounds, you are supposed to report that to the Department of Homeland Security. 400 pounds, 270 tons is 1,350 times the amount of ammonium nitrate that would normally raise a red flag and require a report. Just that they had it, didn't report it.
Right.
Plain and simple. Also, the leading federation of labor unions in the U.S. put together a critique of these social auditing programs that exist. And these are basically corporate-funded inspection systems, right? A lot of these American companies use corporate-funded inspection systems to monitor working conditions. And it's a facade, right? There's a report called Responsibility Outsourced from the AFL-CIO, and they say that it is a total facade. The regulations, the limited regulations that plants like this are operating under are basically a corporate-funded facade.
Right. So it's just like politics.
And again, regulation is bad. It would have impeded them from making more money and stuff. But look at the situation we have. 1,350 times the amount of ammonium nitrate that requires letting the Department of Homeland Security know, 30 years without an inspection. I guess what's the argument here, Natan? That it doesn't matter the same way that criminals don't follow gun safety laws? If a company wants to avoid regulation, they're going to avoid it? I don't even get the argument you can make.
Well, if you have enforcement, then they will. If you have OSHA inspectors come in and check it, if you have the funding for it, it'll happen. The next time that you hear Larry Pratt or any of these gun nuts say that the Democrats want to increase the size of government, think about what the actual things that the Democrats want to do with a bigger government, like preventing these things from happening. Think about that.
And a lot of the funding is the problem, right? OSHA didn't have the funding to do regular inspections of the plants. That's why they weren't being done. So it is an enforcement thing, absolutely.
Yeah, well, with regard to the corporate inspections,
yeah,
I guess you could say, I mean, a lot of the time we find that it's actually a bad business decision to cut corners, to cut costs, to skimp out on safety devices because you think it's saving you money.
Right.
Then this happens. Now your whole plant is gone. Now what are you going to do?
The Deepwater Horizon
exactly.
was the perfect example of that. A $500,000 valve, which was determined not to be required, which could have prevented the entire thing.
Right.
Yeah. On today's bonus show, we've got some great stuff to talk about on today's bonus show. Number one, a new study says hypochondriacs are good for society. That's interesting. We'll discuss that in detail. Also, if you haven't heard of eyeball shaving, it's a practice done in China. We're going to discuss that. And we'll also talk about a study that looks at the physical health benefits, well, physical and mental health benefits of green spaces for people who live in cities and a lot more stuff. How do you get the bonus show? It's very easy. Become a David Pakman Show member. Go to davidpakman.com/membership. Sign up, support the show, and get that great bonus show, Lewis. It's the #1 rated David Pakman Show bonus show in the world.
Yeah, and also the only one. It's also the lowest rated.
Yeah. Don't mention that, though.
Oh, sorry.
And also our Indiegogo campaign continues. Visit our website, davidpakman.com. Click on the bright green banner on the top of the website. Make a contribution. We're down to only a week left. We'll take a break and see you back after this. A lot of stuff to talk about, including fast food and guns. A lot of stories having to do with those two topics.
The David Pakman Show at davidpakman.com.